Hey everyone, I'm just gonna put out a video here about the Lloydz VFC 3 tuner. Comes in this package. You get a couple of zip ties and that little adhesion strip with it. So you're gonna need to take your tank off and your seat. So your seat bolts are pretty easy. They're straightforward. They're just little 6mm bolts right there. So you can just use your 6mm hex head right here on a socket. Those come out pretty easier if you have T-handles or something. And then for your gas tank, it's gonna be an 8mm. You got 3 of these. So your gas tank bolts up here, and then you have mounting points on either side. You just pop those little rubber pieces off when you're ready to take the tank off, and then just remember you gotta disconnect this fuel line from the bottom of your tank. Mine just had a little clamp on it, and whoever put it on last did a shit job. So the fuel hose is all marred up, but it's not leaking or anything, so I'm just gonna leave it for now. And then you have a little electrical connection underneath there, so just don't forget to disconnect that. I just had it shoved away right there to get it out of the way of all this wiring, which that's gonna be probably a little interesting when I get the tank back on, but hopefully I can zip tie all this stuff up out of the way so it's not a problem. If you don't want to spend the $12, which is what it costs around here for me to get an 8mm, I just use this 5/16. Just be careful. If they're stuck, you are probably going to strip it out if you just go ahead and use a 5/16. Mine weren't stuck and they didn't have Loctite on them, but I never had any issues with them vibrating loose. So you can use a 5/16 if you're in a pinch. And the hole in your frame makes a nice little wrench holder. So after you have your tank and your seat off, take your Lloyd's out, and then you got to choose where you're going to run your wiring harness through. I chose to go through the right side because I'm going to mount mine right here to this fuse box cover. It honestly, it almost fits perfect, and I feel like I'd be taking the fuse box cover off a lot less than I'll be pulling the battery out. I pull that out every winter to put it on a tender, so probably be less of a pain in the ass if I just put it on this side. So it just comes with that little adhesion pad. I'm just gonna clean that up real good, make sure there's no dirt on it, and then adhese it right there. So I chose to run my wires through this side, and it says right in the directions, you just got to be careful. So your tank mount does sit flat right here. So I just have my tank sitting in this nice fluffy pile of hay. We got my buddy Dozer here watching me while I work, taking a nap, and then our other dogs out there in the yard. But so when you take your tank off, you have this one electrical connection. This is where your fuel line goes. Just be careful with these vacuum tubes. I almost broke these today when I pulled them off because I completely forgot about them, went to yank the tank up, and these get suctioned pretty decent into the hoses. I'll show you on the other side where they go. So they just plug in right here. They're different sizes, so you really can't screw them up. Big one goes here, little one goes there, all right? And then just don't forget to take negative battery terminal off. The guy before me put a whole bunch of extra shit on here, connections for heated stuff, so I got a bunch of extra wires, but you're just gonna take this ground wire, just run it under both of these frame rails right there, and then you can just hook it up here. I saw another video of a guy doing on an 02 or an 03, I think, and he said he had to clean up this point, so before I get this thing all back together, I'm gonna fire it up, make sure the tuner's actually working and grounding off of the negative terminal. If it's not, I'll just do what he did. Just pull this bolt off like you're pulling your battery cover, or this nut, excuse me, and just scratch it up nice with a wire brush, and we should be able to ground it right there. So as far as the actual harness goes, your rear injector is right there. So there's a little red clip. I'll show you it from the top. There you go. There's a little red clip right there, and you're just gonna take a flathead and just slide this little red clip up. It just slides straight up. You can see it moving a little bit there. And then once it slides straight up, don't grab your wires. You wanna grab a hold of as far down as you can get with your fingers. I got short little stubby fingers, so it's a little bit more difficult for me. You might have to use some long needle nose or something. And then there's a little gray clip underneath there. You can kind of see it. You're just gonna have to just gently pry that out of the way. don't pry it too hard, because then you do this. So the last guy that took the tank off just bent the heck out of that plastic. So it's basically just friction that's keeping it in there now, because this clip doesn't work anymore because somebody bent the shit out of it. So you're gonna have 2 red leads on your wire and harness. I think it's probably pretty clear to tell what's brand new wiring on this and what the older stuff is. So this right here, this piece is the piece that used to be attached to the top of the injector. So you just attach this to the Lloydz harness, and then, so they're kind of coupled together, right? You can see these two are sort of daisy chained together, so it should be easy to tell what goes where. And then the other one is the exact same style, and you just pop that on there, and then make sure you push that red clip down so it clicks. And then up here, when it's telling you to find the other connection by your airbox, so it's this long connection. So this whole piece right here, that is on your bike already, and this male end right here, just that little male end is what's in it. So you just pull that male and female apart. You put this male end of the Lloydz, which has that, it's got a big old yellow water seal on it. So you put that in there, and then pop this in the other side, and then you're all hooked up. And then just make sure that you hook your ground up. And don't forget to attach this thing good. You don't want that flopping around on you. All right, hopefully that helps you out if you're putting one of these on your Kingpin. This is an 06 for reference.